Welcome everybody to the rec room. I'm gonna get this music queued up as I always do, and then we're gonna get to it. Waiting for the fellas to hop in, and then we're gonna be good. T Street,
What's going on?
ain't nothing. The order don't change.
Not at all, not at all. You get a call from Trey earlier?
I did. He hit you too?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with you though?
Not too much. Man, been on the phone a lot today. Had a lot of calls I needed to make.
Oh yeah. I done had a super busy week, bro. Super busy. You see that? What you think about the Ja Morant situation in terms of him? I seen yesterday in the text you said something about that the NBA was making him apologize.
Yeah, I think it's him doing what a lot of athletes have done, or entertainers, where they do something wild. This is their reprieve. Nothing serious is going to happen unless something crazy come out that's worse than what's already been out.
Yeah, by them saying it's not his gun. He brandished the gun, or had it in the video.
Yeah.
But if it's not his, I've been seeing a lot of people make comments that basically like it's a smack on the wrist, and I'm like, I don't know, what do y'all really want to happen to him? I mean, I'm not saying that it was right, but it wasn't that crucial like that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
In my opinion,
it wasn't. In my opinion as well, but to some, it's a lot more than what we think it is.
Yes, sir.
What's going on?
It was good.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You sounded loud and clear.
Hey, bro, your uncle got so much fear in my heart, bro. I'm so scared. Of bro.
Nah, you sound good, bro.
Hey, bro, you don't play with black men that grew up in the 70s, dog. You don't play with them, dog.
Nah, I feel you. What's good with you, though?
Hey, bro, we good, bro. I just got back in from practice, man.
I got you.
I'm out there, man. We coaching 15 kids, man. That's the most kids we ever had, bro. 15 at one time, bro. Yeah, on flag, bro.
What's the age group?
We are 9 and 10, but we actually playing up. So we're gonna be playing kids that's like 11 years old.
Okay.
So we playing semi-pro.
Okay, that's what's good.
Semi-pro, bro. So
That's what's
we
good.
out. We out for revenge. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you. Well, we gonna get into.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
T, what's up, T? How was your week, bro? What's up?
Everything's going good. What's up with you?
Always busy, but nobody ever busy as E. Nobody.
Nah, man, I be chilling. I mean, you know what? I've been busy this week. I ain't gonna lie, but I try to make my life as relaxed as I can make it. It don't always go like that, but that's the goal.
Right.
That's the goal, bro.
Man, look. We all out here grinding, bro.
For sure. So
you know what I mean?
We're gonna get into what tonight's topic is gonna be. So first, I would just like to say, welcome to the rec. We need this music so they can really hear me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So welcome to the rec room. This is episode number 8, and we almost in the double digits. We got Trey Philando, T Streets, AG, our brother. He's not, couldn't make it tonight, but we wish him well.
He's here in spirit.
Exactly. And you got your host. I go by E or E1. And as I say on the other parts, some episodes that we have, they're going to be, debate type mode, fun and lighthearted. And other times the topics are going to be a little serious. And tonight is one of those topics where it's going to be, you know, a little serious. We still going to keep it light, but the content is actually pretty serious, and it's really relatable. And tonight's episode is basically about childhood trauma and how it may have affected you in your life, right? And so I think that, you know, my philosophy is that everybody got a story. That's how I feel. You know, I always say, like, if I go door to door and knock each person's door, right, somebody gonna have something to say about their life and what they've been through.
Yeah.
And and so that's a fact. And with that being said, I'm gonna get into what trauma is, period, because we, you know, sometimes we have these terms and these words and we don't even know the definition of what we're talking about, right? So we say childhood trauma. I'm gonna just give the definition of what trauma is, right? So trauma is the lasting emotional response that often results from living through a distressing event. Experiencing a traumatic event can harm a person's sense of safety, sense of self, and ability to regulate emotions and navigate relationships, right? Now, with that being said, a lot of ways that we act and a lot of things we do, we may attribute it to our personality, right? But a personality gets developed, and sometimes you don't know what makes you that way. Some people, you never really think, why do I act like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you really never think about that. And so some people could have suffered from childhood trauma, and you may not even know, you know, that your actions are the cause of that, right?
Right.
So with that being said, things that, you know, it's like, how do I know if I had childhood trauma, right? So these are some of the things that I have listed that you may have childhood trauma and you may not even know, right? So some people have suffered from childhood trauma. They may have difficulties in trusting. They may have a low self-esteem, fears of being judged, constant attempts to please, outbursts of frustration, or social anxiety that just won't let up. Those are things that can, you know, those are some things that you may have in your personality that are attributed to childhood trauma. Also, assuming the worst. If you're a person that always assumes the worst, that could be, you know, that could be because of childhood trauma.
Absolutely.
Staying on high alert, making sure terrible things don't happen again. So you're always, like, you know, cautious of everything that you do because you don't want to go through the same thing that you went through before. People who try to mind read and obsessively try to predict people's thoughts and actions. I guess I'm, you know, when I read that, I think about that. I don't know if I constantly do that, but
I'm a lot of those.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? And so those are some of the things that can attribute to, you know, those are things that you could be doing and it could be attributed to childhood trauma. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you guys, do you feel like, have you had childhood trauma and how has it affected you growing up or you as an adult?
Go ahead, T.
Yes, I've had some childhood trauma. And the weird thing with me, I recognized it as when I was a teenager. I can go back to this date or this day, this thing that happened, why I'm acting this way as a teenager. And even today, I still hold some of the same traits that once something happens, it just reverts me right back to that kid. And I'm doing things to try to prevent that. Those first that assuming the worst and excessively trying to mind read, that's me to a T. All my life, I've been that way. I overanalyze things because, you know, I've had guns poured out on me at a young age when I wasn't even nowhere near a street kid. And I needed to figure out, how do I resolve things before an issue even pops off?
True.
So I'm always assuming the worst. and it's really to lessen the blow if
You
if
said
the worst come.
always. You
Yeah, I
said
always assume the worst.
always. Damn.
Always assume the worst, and I
Okay.
can't help it. I can't help it.
Okay.
It's just something that I do.
Okay.
What
But
about
you
you,
go ahead,
Trey?
Trey.
So repeat the question.
So do you feel like you've had childhood trauma
Oh, of
growing up,
course.
and do you
Yes.
think how did it affect you? Do you think it may not even affect you as an adult? It might be something that you've already gotten over and dealt with.
S-
You know what I mean?
So 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 it does, but in a good way, right? Because like, growing up, being just a little kid and having his father and then not having his father, right? Like just going through, that emotional trauma of you knowing who your father is, but him not being there the way that you want him, right?
Okay.
Um, and just yeah, I'll be there at this time, and then he don't show up, right? And like
Mhm.
that cliche type of thing, like that happened to me. That happened to my sister, right? When I'm around my kids now at 43, it's like I overdo it, right? And sometimes I catch myself because I coach young kids, right? When I used to coach kids in the beginning, most of them came from single parent households. Most of them. And so I just developed a passion just to work with them because I was one of those kids that was not, having a great relationship with their father. So just last night, man, just last night, man. Here's a quick story. My daughter had a talent show.
Okay.
And man, my daughter got on stage, man. She's been dancing in front of crowds for like the last like 2 years, man. Like she does it like it's nothing. And it was just so important to me just to record her. And I'm just standing there still thinking about, when I was her age and wishing that, my father was there when I come off a stage or come out of the game or come home from school or whatever. Right. And so I was telling my wife this when my daughter came off the stage, and man, she gave me the biggest hug, bro. Right. And I'm telling you, like the question that you asked is really poignant because just like T said, we we go right back to that pain point, right? And just me just hugging my daughter, it's like I'm giving her what I didn't have. So whatever I didn't have, I give it, right? Because once I'm older and my kids are older, I'm just trying to not repeat and not give them those signs of a kid who had trauma, right? So I just try to use what happened to me and make it a positive and make it a strength. So I don't repeat that emotional stress that I was under,
True.
as well as my sister, because even though my sister was 5 years older than me, she been through more trauma than me. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? You know what I mean? Her having a dad, then her dad going and starting a whole new family, somewhere else, having another daughter. You understand what I'm saying? And then that's a whole other pod. But just like seeing father years later with a different family, bro. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that, right? So imagine like living with that, right? And then having to work through it yourself. Like it's like like you didn't go to therapy. Like it's just so many different traumas. That's the thing. It's just like we all have our own individual
For sure.
traumas, right? That we don't go get professional help for because that wasn't the thing back then like it is
Nah,
now,
Right.
right?
not at all.
So what about you, E? Like how do you feel about that question?
I mean, so I'm gonna give a stat, right? So the
Yeah.
Substance Abuse and Mental Health Society state that by 16 years old, more than 2/3 of children have experienced a trauma, right? So that goes back to me, that tells me that trauma is a part of life
It
in some
is.
form or fashion, right? And I believe that no matter if you're rich, no matter if you're poor, no matter your status, you will go through some type of trauma in life, whether you are a child or an adult, right? So I'm gonna take you to my childhood trauma. Now I'm calling it childhood trauma now. Growing up, it was just life. I didn't look at it as childhood trauma. It's just, whatever. So, I lived with, I had my mom and my father in my life, which was a great blessing. But my parents did get divorced when I was 8 years old, right? And my sister was 4 years younger. So at 4 years old, I'm 8, she's 4. She doesn't really know them being together. But me, I experienced them being together. And so when they broke up, it broke me for, as an 8-year-old, I can remember, really having a tough time back then. And my grades kind of slipped a little bit. But to take it even further, and this is not a doom and gloom story, I'm just giving my story. I'm not sad about it. I can talk about it and it's cool. But my father, growing up, he had a disease called lupus. And by him having that disease, he had to be on dialysis 3 days a week, right? And lupus is kidney failure, right? And so by him being on this machine, he had to have this thing in his arm. So when he had short sleeve shirts, you could see it was a tube in his arm and you could see it.
Yeah.
And by me knowing that my father was sickly, I always thought when I was young, I didn't want him to die. You understand what I'm saying? So as an 8, 9-year-old, I'm having thoughts that a child my age shouldn't think about. I shouldn't be thinking about one day is my father going to die, right? And so with that being said, when we would go to like practice and, he would coach me with football, we get out the car, people would be like, kids are kids. So kids would be like, what's wrong with your arm? Kids don't know no better. And for me as a child, that would hurt me. You know what I mean? And because my father, at that point he was on Social Security, so he really couldn't work like that because he was on dialysis 3 times a day. And, that means he couldn't afford certain things. So he had an old Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, right? And it was an older car. So when we would go to practice and stuff, I'm feeling a little embarrassed because he got an old car. One of the doors don't open, but only one of them open. So we both getting out the car. So we both getting out the car on the same side of the door. And as a child, all that stuff means something. So that affected me.
It does.
And I'm not gonna lie, I used to question God. You know what I mean? I used to be like, why my father is not like everybody else? You know what I'm saying? Why can't I have a regular father? Why can't my father work and do everything that everybody else can do? And what that did was, for me, it kind of it grew me up kind of fast mentally.
Okay.
Because me dealing with that was something that I don't think that a lot of kids had to deal with. And everybody got stories. Some people, when my father passed away, my cousin told me one day, I was we was in the studio and I can remember this. And I was like, and I was telling them how my father just passed. And I was telling them how bad I felt and how sad I was. And he was just like, well, you know what? I know that you said that your father passed away, but at least you had a father because I didn't have one. And so that's when I talk about getting to comparing pain to him. My father passing was sad, but he would have loved to experience even having a father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And of course, at that time, I ain't want to hear that because
you
I'm
ain't
like,
trying to hear,
dude,
you
know what I mean?
Hear, bro.
But to go back to how my father being sickly affected, it affected me emotionally in a very crucial way, man. It really did.
Yeah, bro.
And, it was something that I had to stay strong with. It was something that I kept to myself, how I felt, but it definitely affected me, man.
How do you daily, how do you honor your father as far as being a dad yourself? Like,
Well, my father passed when I was 27, right? And and I'm gonna and like I said, I don't want this to sound like a sad story. It's just my
your
life.
story.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
it's your
and
life.
and I'm a fast forward, go back. When he did pass, I had to before a person actually passes, you think like I knew my father was sickly. I didn't know when he would go. There was never no timeline on his life or one that I knew of. And so as I got older, you know, it seemed like he was getting more and more sick. But every time that I would ask him, is he okay? He would always smile and tell me it was okay, right? So this one
Mm-hmm.
day, and all this is related to trauma, right? So this
Yeah, of
one
course.
day, he had went to the doctor. He was kind of walking with a hunch, like a hunchback a little bit, and he went to the doctor. And I was like, "Dad, man, it's like you keep your back keep hunching over, man. What's going
Mm-hmm.
on?" And he was like, "Well, Everett, you know," he said, "I went to the doctor, and he said, and if they can fix it, then I'm cool. But if they don't, God got something else for me." And he looked at me and he smiled, and I'm like, you know, I don't know what to think of that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, right?
yeah, bro.
So
Yeah,
fast forward, I'm like,
he being
damn, if it
strong.
don't. So he being strong, but he's accepting that if
Mhm.
it don't work, he's ready for whatever, because at
He
this
good
point,
anyway.
he's tired of suffering.
Yeah.
So long story short, anyway, we go to one day we have a cookout. He comes to the cookout. He's like he's in space, and he's just not really paying attention to anything, and it's just a little weird or whatever. And the week
Mm.
before that, I had a vision of him passing
Mm.
while I was riding down the street.
Mm.
And then one day I just get a call that from my sister, frantic call that he did pass. And when things happen, you don't think that you're as strong as you are until you go through it. I'm
You
at
go through.
LaFont Plaza. I go up to the train, LaFont Plaza, and just drop to my knees, crying.
Mm.
Don't care that I'm crying in front of everybody, but I don't care
Mm.
because my father just passed. I'm not even thinking about all that. I get on
Yeah.
the train, go to his place, and he's actually they haven't come and picked him up yet or whatever like
Mhm.
that, or whoever comes to pick you up after you pass, I don't know, but whoever it was, they
Mhm.
didn't come
Mhm.
yet. So when I went into the house, they asked me, did I want to go in the room? I went in the room. Now, if you asked me, could I do this before he passed, I would tell you no.
No.
But because it happened when it happened, I'm there and I'm talking to my father's dead body, and he's
Mhm.
smiling, even though he's
Mhm.
passed away, which was a beautiful thing, because whatever he saw before he passed, it had to be beautiful because he had a smile on
Comfort.
his
Yeah,
face,
bro.
right? So I
Yeah.
said what I had to say, and I left. And now, then I didn't know that was affecting me. I thought that I was
Mhm.
cool. I thought that I was okay. I thought that's, you know, it happened,
Mhm.
and I didn't really realize later in life how it affected me. And I'm gonna tell y'all a little
Mhm.
bit later on
Mhm.
how that
Okay.
affected me, how I dealt with it, but what it did to my personality.
Okay. I
But
got you. I got you. I got
so
you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a crucial time, you know, in my life, and that was traumatic. So now we go back to me being have a traumatic situation as young, and then
Mhm.
also it continued into my adulthood. Now I forgot what your question was because I didn't went off on the whole little thing.
No, we good. Go ahead. You know your thing. We good.
But
We
you
vibing with
asked
it.
me, you asked me about how does it affect me with
How
my
no?
son now.
Yeah. Yep. How do you kind of still honor your father as far as that parent with you being a parent, with you being a dad?
Well, me having a son and my father being in my life, it just showed me the
Mhm.
importance of being in my son's life. It also showed me that life is short,
Absolutely.
and you just never know, right? So what that does for me when it comes to my son, it makes me spend the most time that I can spend with him, that I can. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It makes
Yeah,
me want
bro.
to be a good leader and pour into him as much as I can while I'm here. Not saying I'm great going anywhere, but like I say,
Mhm.
I just take advantage. It just makes me take advantage of every day. I take nothing for granted. I take
There you go.
no moment in his life for granted. I always
Yeah.
hear that when I told my when one day matter of fact at my birthday joint, my man was like,
Mhm.
how old your son E? And I'm like, he 4. He was like,
Mhm.
man, I don't miss them days. And I've had a couple people say that to me.
Yeah.
But the thing about me is I love all of it, bro.
Absolutely,
There's never
bro.
for me,
Absolutely.
there's never going to be a time for me that I say, man, I don't miss them days.
Absolutely.
Because
Mhm.
I love him from 1, 2, 3, all the way till
Yeah,
he
bro.
really getting on
Yeah,
my nerve
bro.
to a teenager. I embrace
Yeah,
all of
bro.
it. And I love it. And by my father being in my life, I just pour into my son 10 times just the same or even, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so just with me like having a dad like part-time, you know what I'm saying? Like the feeling of, somebody rolling on you, right? And then not only that, my mother who was in the army up until a certain point, maybe till I was about 11, 12. Once she got out, it was like no real plan, right? So it was just a bunch of struggle. Like after like struggle was normal, right? Um and just, bouncing around place to place. You know what I'm saying? Some places you coming home and your furniture is like Mike Tyson would say, decorating the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? But like going through like just lack, like it becomes normal to you, but that's really abnormal, right? But you don't know that that's abnormal until you put yourself in a better position. Right. So
Right.
I like what you said about trauma being a part of life. So trauma is a series of lessons where it's gonna be there. But the game is, how do you positively try to get yourself into a better situation mentally, right? So you could be of service to somebody else,
For
right?
sure.
And we could definitely delve into that later. But you know what I mean? I just wanted to tap on that.
Nah, that's what's up.
Yeah,
My go ahead, T.
Go ahead, T.
y'all have all these stories about your pops. Um, in all honesty, I really don't know what it's like to have a father. Now, my father, I know my father. I've known him since I was basically born, I guess you could say. Uh, but the relationship and him being fatherly or dad in any definition that you want to bring up to define a father, it just wasn't it. As a child, 5 to 8 year old or so,
Mm-hmm.
I would see him, but he wasn't really around, and he would manipulate me out of money. Like let's
Mm,
go back to like
Right.
4, 5, 6 years old. Grandparents, great grands, uh, different people would always give me money, and I would always save it, always in my top drawer, my top
mm-hmm.
dresser drawer. And he'll come over, he'll say whatever he says to trick me to give him some money,
Mm,
and I would do it. My
mm,
mother, my grandmother would tell me, "You need to stop giving them money. Why are you doing this?" And one day he just flat out he stopped trying to trick me. He just stole it.
mm,
And when that happened, you know, I started feeling a little different. My
True.
mom, she said, "You know what? You're not holding on to your money because he always end up getting your money every time you have money." My mom started holding my money,
mm-hmm.
and he really was in and out between the early years of my life through ninth grade. In the middle of ninth grade, my grandma passed, or close to the end of ninth grade, my grandmother
Mm-hmm.
passed, and my mom worked overnight, so she wanted an adult in the house. So she let him come live with us.
Mm,
Now he comes in, nobody knows that he has a drug habit.
mm,
Nobody knows he has this drug habit. So I go through those years constantly having to hide my money because he's stealing it or anything. Doesn't matter what it is. I remember when I was in fifth or sixth grade, he was staying at the house for about a month until my mom kicked him out. When the champion sweaters were the thing, maybe it was
Yep.
seventh grade. My mom bought me this black and this is all black with the pink champion letters across the chest. She bought it for me in September. I can't wait till it get cold so I can wear it.
mm.
It gets cold, I go in the closet to look for it. It's nowhere to be found.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, I'm like, I know that my mom bought this. She showed me. I didn't dream this.
Mm-hmm.
Asked my mom. She's like, yeah, he probably sold it. You know, and like these are things that happen continuously over and over and
Well,
over.
let me ask you, T. Let me ask you. Do you think that happening? Did did that make you not trust other people? Like, did that get into your psyche as in, oh, he doing that? That make me don't trust anybody, or you just kept it to him? Like, did it affect you outside of him?
It affected me outside of him. I was able to get past it at some point. But Ed, our friend Ed.
Yeah.
When we
Junior.
first met, Junior, when we first met, there was a lot of, like, I gave him tests to see if he was going to be my friend. I just tested him a lot. I wanted him to trust me.
I still do that with him.
And in my test, I would lie to him purposely. Like, I would lie purposely to see if he believed me. Because I just wanted to see, I wanted him to trust me. And he'd be like, man, you always playing around. You're always lying. I said, no, I'm just trying to make sure you trust me. I was doing that because I needed to make sure that if I'm going to add another person that I call a friend, that they trust me and I could trust them.
For sure.
And at this time, I think I said it on a podcast before, this is when I was starting my transition from my neighborhood friends to the set of friends I have now. But yeah, that affected me. It mainly stayed with him. I did trust people, but it took some time. But the one thing that I do today, from just that part about my dad, about the stealing, taking money from me, I hide money. When I got my first apartment, I used to hide money. I was in there by myself, hiding money. I couldn't find it one day. I thought somebody came in and stole it. I was, oh man, somebody robbed me. Did my pops find out where I lived at? I was really in my head. I hide money today still. Nobody's gonna come steal from me, or hopefully not. And I still hide any cash that I keep. I'll hide it. If I don't have a credit card, if it's a credit card I don't carry on me, I hide it because I'm still traumatized, but I can't change that habit.
Yeah, I think that some of the things that happened to me made me I think I developed the anger issue. I developed a very bad temper. Everybody meets me and they and they can't see me getting super mad because of how I come off. But as much as I have a bright side, I have the exact same opposite. You know what I mean? And it's something that I've tried to work on. And my childhood, I don't, my father being sick, it just made me like a worried person. And so it was just like I was always worried and always just thinking too much. But as an adult, the trauma, it once he passed, it took me back to being angry. It took me to not caring. It made me feel like if I was scared to love, because I felt like that if I love a person, I don't want to love a person too much and then lose them. So it affected me when I met my wife. I didn't even know that I was really suffering from him passing because I hadn't been around anybody that on a regular basis until I had met her. And once I met her, I was just doing weird stuff. Like we might go out to eat and then I'll just get up and just leave and sit in the car. And I didn't understand, why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? And I was doing stuff to the point where she was like, man, I don't know. So she was calling her friend and say, I don't know what's going on with him, but I don't know if we're going to get through because, and one of her friends asked her, have somebody passed recently or something like that? She said, yeah, his father passed. And she said, well, that's probably why he's doing, you know what I'm saying? It took somebody else who kind of knew what was going on. And to this day, I probably still need to talk to somebody, get some therapy. As men, sometimes we feel like we can do it on our own. And,
suppression.
And overall, I'm pretty good, but those are some of the effects that happened to me. But what I want to do is talk about when I grew up, right? Me growing up in my neighborhood, I grew up around a lot of guys, man. And as me looking back, I think some of them, their behavior stem from childhood trauma.
Of
And I'm
course.
gonna give, and I'm gonna get, and it's like a lot of guys in the street, they actually act out because of things that are going on in the home, right? And I'm
Absolutely.
and I'm gonna give
Mhm.
a quick story about that, right? So
Yeah.
it's this guy I grew up with, and I'm not gonna give him no names or anything like that, but he had done like juvenile life, right? But
Mm-hmm.
he was a good person, man. He had a good heart, and I'm not gonna say what he got, arrested for, or whatever. But he was probably like in even maybe elementary, middle school, and childhood life. He didn't get out till he was like 21. And he got out and he came back around the neighborhood and he would come around the way and I would take him. He'd be like, I need a ride to my probation officer, my parole officer. So I'd take him and,
Mm-hmm.
real good hearted, great dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one day, we all go to I can't even think of the spot, man, but to see some go-go band. And it's four of us.
Icebox.
It wasn't the ice. I can't. No, it wasn't the ice box, but I can't think what it was. But
The Zulu Cave. Zulu
no, it wasn't
Cave.
Zulu Cave. No,
You got the Mirage or something?
no, it wasn't the
I'm
black
thinking
hole.
about my man right now. The black hole.
I think it was the classics. I
Oh,
think it was the
classics. Oh
classics,
yeah,
right?
bro. Yeah, bro. I used
And
to stay across the street from the classics.
and so we all go. It's four of us in the truck, but then it's other people from our neighborhood that's in other cars too. And so we get in there, we have a good time. We get in the car, and all three of us get in the car, but he's not in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear a couple sounds that I ain't gonna say what the sounds I heard,
Mm-hmm.
and he runs and get in the car and say, "Go, go, go." So in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, I'm like, "Go, go, go!" Right? So I ain't even gonna lie. I start praying, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, God, if you get me out of this situation, I
I
will
ain't
never.
never
Hey,
going.
you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know
I
what
ain't
this
never
dude just
going.
did.
I
He
ain't
just get in the
never
car
going.
talking about some go, go, go. I don't even know that anything is even in the car, right?
Right.
So my
Yeah.
man speeding down the highway, right? And while we're driving, he breaks down, man. And while we're
Mm.
driving, he starts saying, "Man, I ain't shit. I ain't
Mm.
got shit." And I'm
Mm.
like, I'm like, I'm just listening. He's like, I ain't shit. I ain't got shit. He's like, man, my grandmother died. I don't got nobody. I don't
Mm.
got nobody. And I'm like, okay,
Breaking
well,
down, dog.
what did that make you just do?
Yeah,
And I
bro.
don't know to this day, bro. But
Right.
I'm
I
just
got you.
saying that he acted how he acted because of what he was going through in his life.
Right.
And I never
Right.
witnessed any. I seen people do stuff, but I never seen the reaction of them right then explaining why I am the way I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. In
And
front
it
of
was like
anybody.
in front of
Yeah.
anybody, and this was like a crowd for what he was going through in his life. And we speeding down the highway, and he's telling how he feel like he ain't shit, how he feel like he hopeless.
Mm.
And that stayed with me for my whole life, man. And I think
Mm-hmm.
about that from time
Mm-hmm.
to time. And it was
Yeah, bro.
because his behavior came from the traumatic things that happened in his life. And I just think
Yeah.
that a lot of guys in the street come from traumatic homes.
It comes
Yep.
from super, super, super traumatic homes, bro. Like you gotta grow up so fast and then you being exposed to and then, bro, it's like you in this gauntlet like early. You see what I'm saying? Like you are not even allowed to be a whole unique individual because you got to deal with so much shit. You got to deal with things from a young age. You being exposed to like, everybody had, you know what I'm saying? Like our
For
parents from the
sure.
70s, 80s, bro, they was, you know what I'm saying? When they play cards, they drink their little drink. You know what I'm saying? They do what they do, and so I will walk around and I'll see them doing what they doing. You see what I'm saying? And then when they will move, I'll grab a glass and I'll take me a little sip. That's why I don't drink Hennessy to this day, bro. Cause I would sip that shit when I was like 8, bro. That shit burnt my damn whole
Damn,
soul
eight.
out. Bruh, bruh, I was sipping on it, bro, but I would do it. Or sometimes, you know what I'm saying, they'll accidentally be like, go ahead. And then when I do it, bro, that shit'll burn me up, bro. Like I had to walk off in pain. That's why I don't drink Hennessy now. You see what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, you don't understand, like, that was normal to them, right? But it shouldn't have been normal to a younger kid. So then once you growing up and you just trying to navigate, bro, and then you are dealing with your mother who's trying to take care of you, and you knowing that she hurting because her husband gone, right? And then once you out of your safe haven, which was the army, bruh, it was just like it was no plan for us. You
True.
see what I'm saying? So I was bouncing around so much. I was bouncing around from apartment to apartment. You know what I'm saying? We can't make the rent, so we gotta leave, or they put our shit out, whatever.
But
And
did it
then
affect your
we,
personality?
bruh, it
Did
fucking
it
it affected me. It made me really defensive. It
okay.
made me I was insecure because of the fact that the people that I'm around, to me, they don't have to worry about not making rent. You see what I'm saying? Like their house is way more stable than me, right? And
Hmm.
so, and the only reason why I moved to Virginia was because of the same thing. But I called my father like, yo, listen, can I come out and stay? Now in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, if he say no, I'm still gonna have to deal with this, right?
Hmm.
So when I moved from New York to Virginia when I was about 13, 14, bro, I literally came with a see-through bag with all of my clothes in it. You see what I'm saying? So when I got out here, that's when I got a little bit of structure. But at the same time, I was just out here for a stable place to actually stay. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Right.
some sort of stability. But knowing that, I'm like, man, if I never called him, was he ever gonna call me and check in? You see what I'm saying? Now
True.
Hmm.
at 43, I keep that chip on me because of the fact that it's just a reminder. Like, listen, I love my father. Listen, if somebody was trying to do harm to my father, I'll take a bullet for my father because he's my father, right? And I love him. But at the same time, I can never do to my children what you did to me. Ever. Ever. Right? So, but at the same time, but just dealing with that, like, damn, like you always think about it, like, damn, if I never called you, you
Was
know
you
what I
gonna
mean,
hit
and
me?
asked you, was you ever gonna hit me? You see what I'm saying?
True.
And just but that was one of my tests of me dealing with my traumas, right? And
Yeah.
seeing him at his weak point, right? And doing what he did and him having his habits, right? And
True.
just needing a father there. Like, my mother had a bad choice of men for a while, right? So you had a couple people that was into pharmaceuticals. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so I'm thinking that my man coming over to check me out, but he really coming over for the other situation.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And then you looking at your your quote unquote hero, right? But he's not looking at you like that. So at 13, 14, these are like your most formative years, right? You out
Definitely.
here, right? And so just dealing with those as a young man, bro, and but not forgetting it because it's there for you to know how much progress that you have made. Now you blessed to have a son. Okay, cool. So what you gonna do with your son? What you gonna do with your daughter? What you gonna do with your third son? Excuse me, with your second child. So I got two boys and a girl. The experiences that I went through, that me and my sister went through, sharing that pain, has made me the person. So what I didn't have, I give. You see
True.
what I'm saying? Like I give it out, bruh. I give it out. And when I had those little moments, man, like when I be seeing like kids like, make a big score or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like it I get so passionate about it, bro, because I know, and then seeing they parents celebrate with them. Like I live with that, but that's what helps to push me to keep going, bro, and just keep progressing as a man, right? So when I'm older and when it's my time to go, like I'm like, listen, listen, I gave you exactly what I needed. I gave you what I needed, and that's my reward. You know what I mean? But what I don't do, what people do is they keep that anger instead of using that anger and breaking that thing down and getting strong because of it. because you still here. Like, you know how many people made plans for tomorrow and they don't wake up? A lot of people had plans for the day, bro.
For sure.
And they didn't fucking wake up. So if I'm up, bro, when I wake up, I'm like, man, I'm thankful and I'm grateful, bro. Period.
And you
Period.
know, I don't know what site this came from, but it says that, you know, adults with unresolved childhood trauma are more prone to PTSD, alcoholism, and
PTSD.
suicide,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
Yeah.
depending on how crucial your childhood trauma is, if you don't get it taken care of, that's what it
It's
can
gonna
lead to.
take care of
I'm
you.
glad that none of us is
It's
not,
gonna
you
take
know what I
care of
mean?
you.
Like, it hasn't
Yeah.
led to any of that, because what I say is, people, you know, everybody takes things different, right? And so something that might happen to T Streets, if that happened to another person, they wouldn't be able to handle that. Something that
Yeah.
happened to you, Trey, could happen to another person and they wouldn't be able to handle that, and
Exactly,
vice versa,
bro.
because everybody handles pain, you know, a little different.
Differently,
Now,
bro.
I'm gonna ask that, you know, like, if the times where T Streets, the times where you may have felt like depressed or whatever, or felt those traumatic moments, what do you think that you would do? Because you still here, you still going strong, you still positive. What did you do to overcome it, basically?
To overcome, I don't know if I really overcame
Or
anything,
have
to
you?
be
Yeah,
honest.
Okay.
have you
I,
overcame it?
I don't know, because, well, I'll say this too. When it comes to my father, it got to a point, I want to say I was 22. I think I was 22. And I remember coming home. I had stayed out all night, came home. A friend of mine was living with us, and he says, your gold chain and your gold bracelet is missing.
Mm.
And that was like the straw that or not the straw. That's the whatever. It made me, I snapped. I grabbed my bat. I start walking the neighborhood. I was gonna kill that man. I
Who,
had
your
it in my
pops?
head. Yeah, I had it in my head. I'm gonna bash his skull in with this bat. I went to every door that I know where he's normally at, knocking on the door looking for him. If I would have found him, he was gonna die that day. I was going to jail. I had made peace with it while I was walking around. I was like, all right, I'm going to jail, never getting out. It's fine. I'm
Tired of that
killing him.
shit.
And what happened, my boy told my mom, and they got in the car driving around. They found me before I found him.
Mm-hmm.
So now, when I'm in that type of rage, I'm only there while it's happening. Once I calm down, I'm not going to go back to that place.
Yeah.
So when I saw him, I saw my pops the next day. I wasn't going back to that place. Now, was I mad? Did I let him know, how I felt? Was he not trying to come nowhere near me because he was in fear that I may do something?
Mm.
Yeah. But as far as me finally letting go of that anger towards him, it took me to about the age of 33. I remember getting in a spat with my brother in my late 20s. And he told me I needed to let it go. He said, you need to let that go. And I'm like, man, you were young. You didn't experience everything I experienced. But it always stuck with me what my brother told me, to let it go. So it took a few years, and finally talked to him, forgave him for everything. And today we're cordial. I'm not going to say that I care like the way that y'all cared about y'all pops. But now I wouldn't take a bullet for him. He could die.
Nah, I feel
I
you.
don't
Nah,
I
I
don't
feel you.
care.
I feel you.
But am I cordial with him? Will I speak to him? Yes, I'll speak to him today. Will I from that point when I finally forgave him, did I do some things for him? Sure. did he
Yeah.
do some things for me that surprised me? Like he surprised me one day on my birthday. I came over to his place. I didn't even think he knew it was my birthday. I came over there, surprised me, had the cake, had people over. I was like, oh man, this is
Mm.
kind of great. Where was this when I
Hmm.
was young?
Yeah, bro. Hello.
But I just appreciate it. I didn't bring it up. I wanted to because I'm petty. I could be petty. I wanted to be petty. I
You?
was like,
No,
nah.
no. You never petty,
But
T.
Not T Street.
when it came to coming to him, it took me to forgive him. It took me to forgive him for me
Yeah,
to
bro.
let the anger go because I developed a lot of my I don't give a fuck attitude that
Because of
started
that.
around because of that and because of
Mm,
the times when I had guns poured out on me and I was scared. And
mm,
anytime I saw a light skinned person walking through the alley, I would run in the house. Like
mm.
from
Yeah,
fifth
that's traumatic, bro.
through yeah, from fifth grade through about ninth, maybe even 10th. Anytime
Mhm.
I saw somebody light skinned walk through the alley, I ran in the house. I know
Yeah,
my friends clown me. I know they did.
yeah,
They didn't really do it to my face. Maybe a couple people would, but they didn't really do it to my face. But I know they clowned me because I was scared. I had a
yeah.
gun put out on me at my front door, and then coming
Mm.
off the after school bus. As soon as I got off the school bus, the
That's
bus pulled off. I walked, take like 3 steps, coming around the corner, a group of guys with a gun at me.
Yeah,
Walked me
that.
home with the gun in my back.
mm.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, T
That's a
Street.
lot, bro. That's
That's a lot.
traumatic, dog.
Do you
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it
feel?
took.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, finish.
Nah, so I developed a I don't give a fuck attitude somewhere in that 17, 18-year-old range. And you combine that fear of the gun part, it scared me so much that I said something to my father in ninth grade when he started living with me. I told him about what's been going on and how scared I am. Because I used to think to myself, man, if I was dead, I wouldn't have to go through all this. Now,
Mm.
I never thought about killing myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I would think about if I wasn't here, things would be better. I wouldn't have to
Mm.
go through this. Those two events, my pops and having guns put out on me, and those aren't the only 2 times that it happened as a kid, as somebody
Mm.
that wasn't in the streets as a kid.
Nah,
Those
that's a
things
lot.
hardened me by the time I became 17, 18 years old. And I just didn't care. I stopped caring.
Mm.
One reason why I told y'all the story about how I put the kid out the apartment
Mm-hmm.
in one of our episodes before.
Mm-hmm.
I hated kids. I hated kids. Didn't want kids. One of those reasons was because I didn't want to mess a kid up
Mm.
mentally the
Mm.
way my pops helped mess me up.
Mm.
And to stick to that, I had to develop a hatred for kids in order for me to make sure I do not have any kids.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
yes. Suppression. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
deep,
so
man.
that's
And
yeah,
and
go
and
ahead.
just to add to what you're saying, T, like the emotional signs, like it, but it's so many different signs. It comes in so many different forms. Where number one can be anxiety, it could be
Mm-hmm.
depression, it could be episodes of lost time or disassociation from things. You're disassociating yourself from the emotion of I'm not, you know what I mean? I can't even really deal with this lady. She got a child, or I'm not trying to have no kids because of that. Hopelessness or despair, low self-esteem, isolation from others, intense feeling of abandonment or loss, desire to inflict harm or self-harm, loss of meaning to live or sense of purpose. That's a big one. Distorted self or distorted sense of self or body image, feeling alienated from others or emotional numbness, like nobody can understand me, so I ain't even gonna talk about it. Chronic
Yep.
fatigue, insomnia, um, lethargy, chronic anger or resentment, poor impulse control, obsessive thoughts or worries of an unwanted nature. Go ahead, E. My bad, Brian. Cut you
Nah,
off.
you good. Those is facts. I
A
was
lot of
just
them, a lot of
go
that,
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
a
can
lot
even
of
see
that.
some of those things in that you read off that and that all the time, but stuff that I have thought about as you reading down, the list.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Like it, but it'll get you in it'll get you in like doses, right? Like
Yeah,
being
it doesn't
older, I could
exactly. It don't
it
happen
gets you
all the time, all day, every day. You know what I mean?
it
But
come
you
out
might, yeah,
when
for
you in
sure, for
situations.
sure.
Go ahead. E.
No, but I was going. What I was going to do, I was just going to ask you. Do you feel like, and for those just joining or join while we've been talking, this is our episode 8, and we're discussing childhood trauma and how and if it affects you in your life as an adult.
Mm,
But what I was going to ask you, Trey, was do you like how did what did you do to have, like you said, have you overcome it? And if you have those times where it may creep back in, what do you do to move forward from it? Because, like I say, for me, I haven't been to a therapist or anything. And
right.
on the
Yeah.
list that we have, it's recommended to get with a, what does it
Absolutely.
say? A support group. To me, my friends are my support group. So I guess I could
Okay.
say I
Okay.
got a support group.
Mm-hmm.
And then it
Mm-hmm.
just says that get with a therapist that actually gives you therapy and what is related to, because it's basically saying that people that get a
Specific.
specific to what's happening with you. A lot of people just get a therapist that are not not well
Right.
versed in what you're
Mm,
trying to get help in, and so then you go and you still don't really get the help. And
yeah.
I haven't done any of those things, but I was asking you, what do you think? What do you do, or what have you done? How do you get past what has happened, the
So,
traumas?
two answers to that. Just to add to what you were saying about the stat, right? Um, it's like 57% of people who go to therapy, especially like if you're like new to it, 57% of those people are with a person that doesn't fit them, right? Because it's so specific. My trauma might be so specific, but I'm just going to see a therapist,
Right.
right? But
Mhm.
that person might not specialize. And bro, it's nothing like talking to somebody and they can't relate to you, bro. You feel what
For
I'm saying?
sure. Yeah.
Right.
But they're a quote unquote therapist, right? They're a quote unquote therapist. So man, honestly, so to answer the overall question, man, I was just so first of all, man, look, I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful of all the strong ass women in my family that were going through their own shit. You know what I'm saying? Like outside on the corner selling, you know what I mean, in a situation. But I'm sleeping on their couch. I'm sleeping on their floor. Like I never had to sleep outside. So I'm thankful, bro. It with me, bruh. It's a beautiful thing, man. Everything that happened to me happened for me. You see what I'm saying? I never felt like a victim ever. And so that helped to develop me into the person that I am, where I had to put my father in a situation where he wanted to talk to me and I used that as my opportunity to let him have it, where he broke down, right? And I had to show him like, bro, do you know who the fuck I am? Like, do you understand who the fuck I am? Right? I had him out there breaking down and I went and held him up. We outside, he a grown ass man crying, right? But I had to let him understand that pain. I had to get that pain out, right? And right there, I think I was probably like 38, 39, bro. My sister passed, man. Let me tell you, when my sister died, like I died, right? Like I died, bro. Like when you going through shit with somebody that been through the same emotion, you know what I'm saying? You you going through the same shit together, right? Bruh, bro, you know how many times I almost lost my freedom because of my sister? Like me just jumping out there. I'm not even that type of dude, but I can become that type of person for her, right? So, bro, just me being just so lucky to have my aunts, to have my uncle, to have my cousin, man, just
That's how
just
you
to
got
be
through.
on me, bro, just to help me through. Like, bro, I was one of those kids where I could have went the other way. I could have went the other way. So when I came to VA, I was coming there out of necessity. Like, bro, I just needed somewhere to sleep, bro. You feel what I'm saying? And so I just wound up, meeting some good people like Junior, T later, you know what I'm saying? Like Tyreek, like, bro, every time I would have friends, it'll just be for like a year or two, right? Or maybe less. So
Hmm.
how I navigated through was just having a work ethic that my uncle taught me, would kept me out of a lot of trouble, right? So I learned how to my relationships with people to get jobs. So I was always busy. I stayed busy, right? And then just being around a good group of guys that wasn't out there. I was probably the most wildest one out of us, right? That's because I ain't had no goddamn common sense. But the good part was I kept working, bro. I went to school. You know what I'm saying? And then and then later on, like the biggest thing was me keeping my nose clean, bro, and choosing the right woman to marry, bro.
For
Once I
sure.
once I once I married up, that changed it changed my whole trajectory of my life from 32. I was just out here just grinding, just working and things like that. But when you find somebody that you care more about than yourself, you gonna fucking straighten up. You're gonna
For
do it.
sure.
You're gonna do it for that person. And then you like, yo, this person got a lot of shit that they done fought through too. You understand what I'm saying? And then once you get married and you have children, bruh, you got to be so thankful that you made it to that point and just acknowledging what you've been through, but not being a victim. But people got to understand, people that's going to be listening to this, like, listen, you have so many options nowadays in 2023 to go get help, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we was coming up, man, that we didn't even hear about that shit. We
Nah,
didn't
you
hear
would
about no
nah, you
therapy.
nah,
Man,
nah.
look,
Well, nah,
man,
it
look.
was
My mother was
in our
at work,
community.
bruh.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying, bro? My mother was at work, man. My sister out doing what she doing. I'm outside 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Therapy. But you done been through so much shit. That's not normal. Right? Like this shit, like nah, like and that's a whole other thing, bro. Like in our communities, man, we normalize a bunch of bullshit. We normalize lies, right? And then we accept it. We're not putting each other like no, we're not holding each other accountable. Like no, bruh, take care of your kid, take care of your kids. Do your goddamn homework. Come in the house at this time. We just out here. We
Yeah,
just
there's
we just
no,
out here,
there's
bruh.
not
It's no
a
rules.
lot of structure. But for
It's no
me,
obedience. It's no structure.
it's not for me in terms of the trauma that I felt that I had whenever and with a parent passing, that for me, I
Yeah,
gonna speak for me. That's something that
crazy,
that I'll
bro.
never get over.
I can't imagine it.
And so you just deal with life how it is. I was blessed to to find a wife and to have a son, but before those
But hold up,
times,
E. Hold,
my
hold up, E.
father,
Hold. Not to find the wife, to find the right wife.
the right wife.
There
But
you
I'm
go.
rewind, but I'm gonna rewind before that because when my father passed, I was 27. When he was sickly, that was when I was a child, and so I think back to what did I do during those times, and one thing about me is I focus my mind on being grateful for the little things, and for instance, something small as my eyesight. Something small as me being able to hear. Something small as me being able to talk. There are people who can't see. There are people who can't hear. There are people who
There
can't
you
walk.
go.
There's so many things that I focus on being grateful
There
for,
you go,
and
bro.
that helped me, and me taking nothing for granted. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And this is not just me saying this, like giving a speech,
Nah, I
like this is
got you.
what you have to do. This is what I really do. You know what I mean? Because we all can still have effects from the trauma that we've had in our life, whether it's been when we're young, children, up to adulthood. But if you can just think about the little things in life that are going good for you, when you can just focus on what positive is going on in your life. And not only that,
Mm.
you also have to surround yourself by positive people.
You got to.
It is hard, and sometimes you have to cut back friends that are actually friends. You have to be with people who are on your level mentally,
Absolutely.
because that still
Absolutely, bro.
helps. When I do feel away, I have people that I can talk to, even if it's
Mm,
not a therapist. I have good friends that I can actually call and have a
mm.
conversation with. And a lot of times men don't communicate, but I feel
I
thankful
never
and
did that.
grateful that I have men that I can call and actually talk to if I am feeling a way that, and I'm not calling them saying, hey man, guess what? That trauma blowing me again.
Yeah,
No, it's
bro.
not that type of
You just
conversation,
having
but
a
it's just
conversation. Yeah.
conversation and you talking to people that can relate to what
Yeah.
what's happening with you. And
Yeah.
for people who listening, if you don't have that, it's good to seek that out. And it's
Seek it
probably like,
out.
well, how can I find somebody that's positive? But like I forgot, like I said, I keep forgetting the site. But that's the thing
Hmm.
where it talks about find help groups and stuff like that, where you can find like-minded people, or you can find people who've been through the
Support
same
groups.
thing that you've been through, and everything that y'all talk about is relatable, and you all lift
Hmm.
each other up, because thinking that you can do it by yourself, um,
That's a
in my
lie. Yeah.
opinion, is a false thought. You know
It
what I
is.
mean? And
It is,
doing it by
bro.
yourself is not something that I would advise. Doing it for you by yourself is something that I
And
don't
what are
know
you
if
really
that'll
doing?
totally work out. So yeah, that's in terms of giving the help and getting help if you have traumatic things happen in your life, man. So
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
that's
bro.
where
So
that's
so
where I'm
so
at
so
with it.
also so also E, just to add to what you were saying, bro. This is a huge part. You you have to have a goal, bro. Like you okay, what do you want? You have to ask yourself through any type of situation, what do you want to come out of this situation? Do you want to graduate? Do you want to move? Do you just but putting those goals in front of you, bro? And as soon as I got into the relationship with the woman who wound up being my wife, me personally internalizing things, knowing that I had things to work on. So I would just read books about things that I was trying to learn about. And then I got into more self help. Then I got into a whole bunch of positive videos. Then I got into journaling, and then I got into opening up, start my own business. Then I got into this, but one thing led to another, but I had a goal.
For
So
sure.
it's like us just growing up in these environments, bro. We not even dog. A lot of these dudes that's playing football, they only doing that shit because that's the only thing that's available in their neighborhood.
For
Like they
sure.
they don't they don't even have the opportunity to to even think about being something else. You understand what I'm saying? Because we in such a small box mentally in a lot of places, not everywhere, right? But just going through stuff, bro. When you born into a situation, bro, where your father already gone, like you already behind the eight ball. So what is that kid supposed to do? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Or what is that young lady was supposed to do? So us having pods like this one, they might not listen to it tonight, but they might hear it next year. So they hear like, man, this dude T, bro, he went through the same thing I went through.
Yeah, trauma is
But
relatable, bro.
it's relatable, bro. But the biggest thing is they seeing us continuously positively keep pushing forward. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. With the internet, you could Google 25 different therapists like local. You see what I'm saying? And once my sister passed from cancer, bro, she had two children. My nephew at that point, he was 14. My niece Brittany was 19. And you talking about a person feeling like me, feeling like I was alone on earth, like nobody can relate to me or no, I can talk to nobody. I took them to therapy, group therapy for them, right? But I needed it too. So I learned so much from group therapy. My mother losing her daughter, like that was her best friend. They had classes for that. And people's neighborhoods, they have free places where you can go and talk to people. but you have to reach out. People don't know. People might not know that you're going through trauma, and then one more nigga say something to you, one more, you gonna go off.
Yeah.
You gonna just snap, right? But instead of doing that, take actionable steps in a positive way where you can get over it, right? Not get over it, but to get through it with professional help, right?
For
And
sure.
like you say, have creating the environment of positivity
You have
with
to.
people that are doing what you're trying to do, right?
You have
Not
to.
just settling for people that are not dealing with their traumas positively. So
For
I just wanted
sure.
to add that.
Nah, but we gonna end it right there, man. We gonna end it right there.
That's good, Playboy.
Yeah. Tonight was a dope episode. Like I say, certain episodes we gonna have fun tonight. The next one might be, we gonna let T Streets let us know what it's gonna be.
Hey, we're gonna be talking about aliens, whales, camels,
everything, all the above. But tonight was a dope episode, and
that was hard. That was a hard one. That was good.
We like I do every episode, man. Thank anybody. I want to say thank you to anybody who listens to the pod, who shares the pod, who listens to the clips on Instagram.
Yeah.
My Instagram is the Rec Room. The pod is available on Podbean. The pod is available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Google, and another thing is we are also going to be shooting. We're going to be shooting the live episodes. When I keep saying live, but we're going to actually film the episodes. You know what I mean? So we're gonna film the episodes so y'all will be able to identify a face with the voice. And I just want to just thank everybody again. And to the next time.
AE.
What's good?
AE. Hey, let me shout out a couple people that entered the room. So we had Saeed enter the room. We had Miss Fufu. Okay, Miss Fufu. Okay. And then we had Miss Lizzie White as well. So we definitely appreciate you all entering the room. Thank you so much.
And with that, see y'all the next time.
See y'all next time. Peace.